Welcome back to another episode of ICU. I'm your host, Callie Kreitcher. I am an IC dietitian and lifelong IC warrior, and I've helped over 100 IC warriors get their lives back from this horrible condition that we are all living with. And today I want to talk to you about the 6 things you should stop doing if you want relief from interstitial cystitis. So recently, we've been doing a lot of interviews, especially in season 2, and I thought this could be a quick little episode that is straight to the point and shares all of the things that I see people making. I see the mistakes that people are making in their IC journey so that you guys can save time, money, resources, energy, sanity, all of the above. So let's just dive into it. So here are the top 6 things you should stop doing if you want relief from interstitial cystitis. Okay, number 1 is hyperfixating on one thing. I see this a lot. There are a variety of things that can cause IC or trigger a flare-up that if you are hyper-focusing on one of those variables, you could easily miss something else. So what do I mean by this? There are so many different things out there that could cause a flare or an increase in your symptoms, such as food, stress, overlapping conditions like IBS or endometriosis, allergies, hormones, pelvic floor dysfunction. So these are all potential triggers and root causes. And in my professional observations, it's usually 2 or 3 of these different triggers. Occasionally, someone will have only one trigger, and once they treat or resolve that trigger or avoid it, that is when they either reach remission or get significant relief from their symptoms. And if you're focusing on only one variable of the equation, such as diet, I see people just like hyper focusing on diet, you can easily miss any underlying stress, or maybe you're missing the fact that you're flaring every single month at the same time, or you flare every time your allergies are acting up. It's easy to miss these things. So that's why we want to take a step back. We want to look at the bigger picture. And you may be thinking, how do I do this? Well, I usually recommend keeping a journal, writing down what you're eating, what you're drinking, what your symptoms are like. So keeping track of your pain levels at various points in the day, keeping track of how many times you're using the bathroom, what your urge is on a scale of 1 to 10. You can actually measure your urine to see how much output you have. I actually have my clients do this pretty consistently. You can measure your stress levels at various points throughout the day on a scale of 1 to 10. Tracking your menstrual cycle, ladies, can be really helpful. You get what I'm trying to say here is just collecting as much data as possible can help you identify a pattern. And you could even ask your loved ones, people that see you every single day or live with you, to start paying attention and see if they can help you to identify a pattern as well. Maybe your partner or spouse will be like, hey, every time you eat this food, you have a flare. Every time you come home from work and you had a bad day, the next day you typically flare. And so that can also help you as well. So trying to look at the bigger picture. So that's number 1. Number 2 is throwing too many things at your symptoms. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I see people doing this so often, and it's usually with supplements. They try to throw like 5 to 10 supplements at their symptoms and hope that something works. But then the issue is, if something does work, they don't know which of those supplements is actually working. So then you're ending up taking like a ton of pills every day, besides any meds that you're taking. And you're also spending probably a lot of money on supplements. We all know that these supplements are not cheap. You want to get to the bottom of what's working, and if something's not working, why would you take it? Same thing with medications. I mean, obviously this is between you and your doctor, and your preferences. That should be evaluated on an individual basis. You can't really compare what's working for you with what's working for someone else. Same thing with treatment options. Some people just like to be like, okay, let's do a hydrodistension. And then after that, let's do a series of 6 installations. And at the same time, let's have you start on Elmeron, and also let's have you take aloe vera. And it's like, that is so many things to one, just process in general, physically and mentally. That's a lot, right? Like, and so even same thing, even if something works, you're not going to know what's working. And on the flip side of that, if you get a side effect or if you flare up, how are you going to know what is flaring you up? See what I'm saying? So my best advice is to try one new treatment option at a time. If it's a medication or a supplement, give it a few weeks to even months to kick in. Usually it's months with medications and supplements. It just depends what your unique timeline looks like. For example, aloe vera or Desert Harvest aloe vera, they recommend taking for at least 3 months and following their specific protocol. I'm not sure, what certain medications are recommended to, or how long you're supposed to take them for, but everything is different. So set a date to reevaluate your progress. Let's say in 6 to 8 weeks, you're gonna sit down. Well, first, document your symptoms. That would be like gathering baseline data. Then in 6 to 8 weeks, reevaluate, track what your symptoms are, do your best between that period of time. But compare, what are your pain levels? How often are you going to the bathroom? Like, compare your symptoms at that point to what they were in the beginning to see how much progress you've made. And you can decide whether you want to continue with that treatment option or if you want to start something new. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is over-restricting your diet. And you guys hear me talk about this a lot, especially if you follow me on social media like Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. I really try to drill this into you guys because as helpful as the IC diet can be, it has evolved into something that creates stress, anxiety, and fear in a lot of people with eating. It's like the eating has become this chore and it's not enjoyable anymore. And that's not what food is supposed to be. Food is supposed to nourish you, provide you with nutrients, but it's also a big part of our culture. And everywhere you look, left and right, there's food, there's alcohol, there's, whatever it may be. And with summer coming up, there's just going to be a lot happening. You have Memorial Day, you have the 4th of July, you have any sort of like family vacation that you might be taking. There's going to be a lot of, let's say, quote unquote, temptation. And so you don't need to go cold turkey on every single caution or try it item on the IC diet list if it overwhelms you. But we still do want to identify what your diet triggers are. So if you feel like you want to know those things going into the summer, you want to have confidence, you want an increased quality of life, and you want to be able to indulge in the things that you want to indulge in, then maybe now is the right time to conduct an elimination diet. Okay? And summer's 3 months away, and the elimination diet takes around 3 months to complete. So you can, if you start now, have that done, and when June comes around, You can feel confident about what you can eat, what you can't eat, which, trust me, it's probably not what you think or as many things as you think. Usually my clients come out of the elimination diet with anywhere from like 2 to 5 triggers that are related to their diet. And it's usually nothing that they thought it was going to be. So I want you to remember the IC diet was meant to guide an elimination diet. It is not meant to be followed forever. And that's because of what we said earlier, developing a poor relationship with food. You risk nutrient deficiencies when you are restricting your diet if you're not super careful and working with a registered dietitian. And it can cause unwanted weight changes, whether that be loss or gain. I don't like to focus on weight, but sometimes it is something that needs to be talked about. So that is another potential risk of over-restricting your diet. So my best recommendation is to work with a registered dietitian if you are able and have the means. We are trained to help you figure out what your diet triggers are. And me specifically, I am an IC dietitian. I'm one of only 2 IC dietitians in the world. This is like, I literally eat, sleep, and breathe IC. That sounds silly, but this is exactly what I do every single day with my clients. I help them investigate and identify what their triggers are, both diet and non-diet, and work on building confidence with eating. So if you're interested in working with me inside of Road to Remission to live your best life this summer, you can apply now at the link in the show notes. But yeah, so that is number 3. Number 4 is isolating yourself. This is something that doesn't get talked about enough, is having support. Do not underestimate the power of community, because many of us don't have anyone in our life that has IC, or at least we don't know anyone in our life with IC. So finding a support system of IC warriors, people who are living with IC, can be extremely helpful on your journey. Because if you don't have anyone in your life with IC, you start to feel alone and isolated, like you're the only one on the planet that's dealing with what you're dealing with. And that's just not true. There are millions of us out here. It's just you need to find your people. You need to find one or multiple people that are going through the same thing or have that have similar experiences. I think this is why Facebook support groups can be really helpful, just to have that validation that what you're feeling is normal, quote unquote, for people with IC. Having that connection is really helpful. And that's why I created 2 programs that have a heavy emphasis on community, because I've personally seen the impact that having a support system has on your IC symptoms. Because, as much as your loved ones want to support you and will try their very hardest to, they're just never going to get it. 100% they're never going to get it. And that's the harsh reality of the situation. So, yes, having support at home is fantastic, from loved ones, friends, whatever, great. But having at least one IC warrior in your life can be a game changer. I created the IC Collective to be a safe place for IC warriors to connect, learn, grow, get evidence-based answers to your questions. So just a big, a private group where you can connect in a positive way, and you don't have to fear any sort of judgment or lashing out or anything like that. So same thing with Road to Remission. I mean, we have at least 2 group support calls each week, and just connecting with one another face to face on a Zoom call. When I see my clients, when somebody joins for the first time and they jump on one of our support calls and they see, you know, anywhere from 4 to maybe 10 other people face to face, that they could be all over the world, but they are going through exactly what you're going through. It's like you can see it on their face, like a 50-pound weight just dropped off their shoulders. They finally feel validated. They feel seen. They feel heard. They feel like they're no longer on that island by themselves. And that's why people are doing so well in these types of programs. It's because you know you have people to back you up. You know you have people to support you through the good times and the bad times. They can help you work through any obstacles you're facing, because let's be real, progress is not linear. You are most likely going to have a bunch of bumps in the road from where you are now to where you want to be, whatever that looks like. It's not going to be perfect. And if you're doing it alone, it's much easier to give up, where in a community, you have help, you have accountability, you have resources. So community, so helpful. Again, links to my programs are in the show notes. And on to the next one. I forget what number I'm at. I think I'm at 5. Yeah, I'm at 5. Number 5, stop letting doctors dictate your treatment plan. Yes, doctors are there to help you. They're trained to do everything in their power to help you feel better, but they are not you. They are not in your body. They don't know what you feel. Only you know what is best for you, and you get a say in your treatment plan. This is something that I didn't realize back when I was 18 years old getting diagnosed with IC. I had no idea that I could request my cystoscopy be done under anesthesia, or that I could say no to a treatment option that was recommended to me. I was very naive, by the way, and I kind of let people walk all over me, but that's besides the point. I didn't really know that I had a say in what happened to my body and what I put in my body. And going through so many failed treatments, at least for me, it really wears on your emotional and mental health. And, you know, there comes a time where you need to make a change, whether that is seeing a different doctor, getting a second opinion, trying something else, something less invasive, maybe a supplement rather than a medication. You know, if you're not comfortable with medications, you can say, hey, doc, I would prefer to take a supplement first and see how that goes, or I'd prefer this before we do this. And you are allowed to let your doctor know that. And you have rights as a patient. And if a doctor isn't listening to you, if you say those things, you say what you believe in, what you want to do, what you want to put in your body and not put in your body, and they're still pressuring you to do a treatment, because I've been in the situation, they're like, I really think this is going to help you. And that's tough, because you want to trust them, but if you're not 100% sold on a treatment, at least I personally, in my journey, those are the treatments that will fail. Because if I'm not 100% committed to that, taking that medication or going to, you know, PT, for example, when I was first recommended to go to PT, pelvic floor PT, I was like, what is that? There's no way that's going to help me. Like, I'm not doing that. And eventually I kind of was like, all right, I'll try it. And I just kind of went in there and half-assed everything and wasn't in the right mindset, honestly. And I didn't get that much, I don't know what the word is, results from that. But when I did it a couple years later, again, it was a different therapist, but I understood what the purpose of pelvic floor PT was. I understood the mechanism behind what they were doing. And how it would benefit me. And I was really sold on, how they could help me. And before I was like, no, I'm just going to try this so that my doctor will just get off my ass about it. Sorry to curse, but I just wanted a quick fix. I wanted a pill. I wanted a treatment that would just fix me right away. And PT, you have to really work at it. And so, it took me years to realize that. So I'm hoping that by telling you this story, it will help you to avoid the mistakes that I made by just, if you're not ready to do a treatment or you're not 100% sold on it, don't waste your time. Maybe wait, try something else that you believe in, and maybe down the road you'll be sold on that. It's not, everyone's timeline is so unique. And if a doctor isn't listening to you, you are allowed to fire that doctor. You don't owe that doctor anything, okay? It's kind of, you have to shop around for doctors. They're not all going to be good. I feel like I could insert an example here of another practitioner that not everybody is good. I guess you could say like hairstylists, like you try to find a hairstylist that, you like what they do to your hair, you like how they converse with you, you just like the overall atmosphere there. But sometimes it takes, trying out new salons and new hairstylists to figure out, okay, I like this person the best. I like what they're doing to my hair. I like how they listen to what I ask for and they give me what I ask for. Okay. So I hope that helps you understand, your rights as a patient. And if somebody is medically gaslighting you or something feels wrong, then it might be wrong and you might have the ability to file a report or, do something about it. If it doesn't feel right in your gut, then it probably is not right. Oh, sorry. I am talking a lot today. All right. There's number 5. Lastly, we have number 6. Having the mindset that your life is over. I think, let's start off by saying that going through a grieving process after you get diagnosed with IC is completely normal. And I think it's completely warranted. It's valid. I want to validate that response because, if you're someone who was diagnosed, later in life, like you experienced a period of time in your life where you were quote unquote normal, then you're allowed to go through a mourning period where you're essentially mourning the life that you had. And you're trying to adjust to this new life with the condition that you were just diagnosed with. So that being said, after a few weeks or months, everyone's different, but the pity party needs to stop. You need to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get to work. Okay, because it might feel like your life is over and that you're never going to be able to achieve your goals and your dreams that you had pictured before you were diagnosed, but it's not. Your life is not over. It is far from it. There is so much hope with this condition that,